Hey guys, it's Jeff Trapp here with the Tax Planning Pros and the Jeff Trapp Podcast. I am so glad that you've decided to join me today. We are almost to the end of February and tax season is in full bloom. Don't forget, if you have a partnership or S corporation tax return, those are due in just a couple weeks on March 15th. Well, today I want to talk to you about something very, very important, especially if you live in a state where you pay income tax. It's really important that you hear this episode today. So, as you know, 2017, we had the Tax Cut and Jobs Act that passed at the end of the year. They're commonly referred to as the Trump tax cuts. They were hailed by a lot of people unless you live in a high tax state like California, New York, because your state and local income tax deduction basically became limited to $10,000. Well, folks who live in those states pay high property taxes, they pay high state income taxes, and they were unable to deduct those taxes on their tax returns. Well, the states did not like this. They heard from their constituents and they decided to, take this battle to Washington. And basically what happened is they found a workaround where you could deduct these taxes on your tax return if you owned a business through your entity. So how does this work? And this is called the pass-through entity tax credit. And it's a tax strategy that we employ with our clients. And if you're working with a tax strategist, they might employ this for you and your business. I mean, typically we require that your financials and things are up to date so we can calculate the correct tax so that we can maximize that tax deduction. But basically, what happens is you get to deduct your personal taxes paid on your state entity level tax return. And then you get a tax credit on your personal tax return. So you do have to pay tax at the entity level. And a lot of these states make you prepay this tax. So you would prepay basically, 2024 taxes. Now, a lot of states have that tax payment due March 15th. You have to estimate that tax based upon, typically prior year revenues is what we go off of. And you make that tax payment today. Typically, they have another tax payment maybe due halfway throughout the year. And then, that credit is taken on the tax return the following year so that you get the benefit of that deduction. Now, some things that you need to know: the federal deduction for federal tax purposes, the IRS has issued guidance in notice to 2020-75, indicating that it will allow the deduction of state and local income taxes paid by a pass-through entity, partnership, S corporation, multi-member LLC as a business expense even if these payments result in a corresponding tax credit for the owners and members. Now, it's important that you sit down with your tax strategist to strategize how you can maximize this credit. And each state has specific laws surrounding whether or not you can take this tax credit. Most states where you have a state income tax will allow you to take a credit. There's very few that don't, but you need to consult with your tax advisor to make sure that you qualify to get this deduction. Now, I'm in Texas, right? We don't have a state income tax. So the high property taxes that we pay are, not really deductible once they get over $10,000. And unfortunately, we are out of luck there. There are a few other states that don't pay high or that don't pay income tax. And so, we're out of luck. However, if you're in a state like California, New York, New Jersey, in these high income tax states, then you need to be sitting down with your tax strategist today to plan and make these payments because they are due and they are due soon for most of these states. So if you found this episode helpful, and if you are a business owner, if you know a business owner that pays a lot of income taxes, forward this episode onto them because they are going to want to pay less tax and they will thank you for it. And if you want to continue to save tax and learn about other tax strategies, just click on my link in the show notes, and you can get a copy of our free tax playbook. And once again, I'm Jeff Trapp with the Tax Planning Pros, and thank you for joining me today on the Jeff Trapp podcast. And we'll see you next week. Have a great one.